So welcome to Midweek Medicine, where you are the medicine. And myself and Joe Riley are here today talking about following our dreams. When life gets tough, we need to still hold on to those dreams. And we're going to talk about ways that we held on to our dreams and how we're still currently doing that too, because we never give up. And so do you want to start? We're going to talk about writing letters to ourselves, but maybe you can talk about that later. What would you like to say about
I think it's so important energetically that we never lose faith or hope in our dreams, and that we never doubt that our dreams cannot become a reality, because we are really in charge of these dreams. We're in charge of creating our reality. We are the ones that create everything in our lives. Life doesn't happen to us. It happens, it happens for us and through us. So I think, the more we can really understand what that means, it gives us the power within ourselves to never give up, even when life is hard, even when life is challenging. If you can keep coming back to, what do I really want? What is my purpose? What do I want to create for myself and for others, and be able to have an impact? Even when you're feeling really low and there's a lot going on around us, as a collective in the world, and sometimes the energy is quite heavy and it can be very dark and feel quite heavy and gloomy, but also to have these moments where we can go into a quiet space and stillness and still dream and still try and get our frequency to that level of what we really want.
Absolutely. And I was never a big daydreamer when I was younger, but I think it's such a good thing, because we're kind of told not to do that, or you're just being unrealistic, or stop, you concentrate on your work and don't daydream. But actually, I think daydreaming is really important, because if you don't daydream, and if you don't have dreams, then how do we know what we actually want in our lives? We're just going to get whatever pops by, and we'll just go, oh, that looks quite good. Okay, I'll have that. But it might not really be what you want. So it's really clear to know where you're going, or where you'd like to go. And even just by knowing where you'd like to go, even if you don't know how you're going to get there, or even if it's like a spiraling up and down, it's no straight road. But at least we hold that intention of where we're going, or where we want to go, to follow our dreams of, I don't know, traveling around the world, living abroad, finishing a book, writing a song, or whatever it happens to be, or all of it. More. Or if we don't hold on to the dream, what are we actually going to get? What are we going to attract if we don't really hold on to that dream? And I hold on to the dream of getting a dog, a little cute dog like that one that you're holding. And yes. I've been holding that dream for about 9 years now. I get to do some dog sitting and look after other people's dogs. But I never really knew where I was going to live. It's really hard to take that responsibility of having a dog full time. So that's definitely one of my dreams. What's your dream?
Let's make that dream come true. I mean, that's what I'm doing, dog sitting, because I also love them. But also they're a big responsibility if you're not rooted somewhere. And I'm a bit of a nomad, as we know. So I tend to get bored in a country, and then off I go, and to go and experience other cultures and life and stuff. So so I can't have them permanently. So I just have to do exactly that. Go around dog sitting and looking out, loving other people's dogs.
Can I see his little face? It looks so cute.
It's so cute.
My goodness. I mean, he's just so quiet. What's his name?
Gizmo.
Okay. Oh, well, Gizmo is here with us today as well. Why not? And have a dog as well.
Hi, Nick. Welcome.
Dogs are always happy, aren't they? And they make their owners. I feel like dog owners are always the happiest people, because they go for walks in nature. They go for walks every day. That's balancing their left and right brain. And they've got this gorgeous furry animal that adores them. I mean, it's a no-brainer, right?
Absolutely. So what are you dreaming big about, Alice? Share with me.
What am I dreaming about? Well, I was going to ask you that question, actually, but okay. Well, I'm dreaming about, putting out more of these journals that, I've just put out my I Am journal. It's taken me quite a long time to do. I always find following my dreams takes longer than expected. I always think, I can do it in 6 months. Yeah, boom, boom, boom. And then it's sort of 3 years later. I'm like, where did those years go? What was I doing? Was I doing something? You know, did I get distracted? Did something else happen? Or did I just feel, oh, you know, who wants that? You know, but anyway, I think we just have to follow what we love. And if we follow what we love, people are going to feel the love that we're creating to, maybe even love it. So yeah, so that journal, and I'm also creating another one, which is going to be a surprise, about somewhere I love. And I'm dreaming of my own home in Bali, somewhere. I don't know, I still don't know whereabouts in Bali. I guess it would be Ubud, but I don't know. I love the sea so much. I'm dreaming of lots of things. You tell me yours. You got your dream.
What are you got? What is my dream? My dream is to make the world a better place.
Absolutely, for sure. Yeah. Well, it's all personal things about what we're actually doing.
Well, you know, things are just moving in the right direction in some ways, but that's really my ultimate dream since I was a kid, was to make the world a better place, to have a positive impact on humanity, and to really, you know, and I don't really know how, and I don't really know what that looks like. I just got to keep walking the path, really, and trusting that the right doors keep opening, which they have done up to now. So, you know, that there is always a safety net, that we are actually, you know, connected to something way greater than ourselves. And if we can really trust 100% and really know that and have that knowing inside of us, it really does allow us, you know, when we go through these moments of fear, when we go through these moments of like worry or stress or challenges, you know, of what does this actually look like? Am I making the right choices? But then going back, being able to come back into that space of, yes, I'm here for a reason. You know, everything's happening for divine timing. And yes, I just got to keep trusting and surrendering and not trying to control things outside of my control. And I think that's a big one, is because when we do hit fear and stuff, we try and all of a sudden control the situation and put things in place. And actually it just ends up, I find, more challenging. It creates more challenges and more boundaries, where if we actually sometimes just surrender and be like, you know what, this is happening at the moment for a reason, and I've just got to ride the wave for the moment, and things will slowly smooth out. And I think you and I talk about this, and we definitely, and I think it definitely does, you know, if you actually test it, it works. Should I say?
Well, I think it comes back to divine timing. That's where I'm seeing it. I was thinking, why did it take me so long, you know, to put this out? Because I had the idea a couple of years ago, and I really wanted to put it out, all the positive things, you know, after, you know, putting out my memoir, which is, you know, it's pretty kind of deep. And I wanted to show people, no, but I had a dream. I had a dream that I would find a new life, that I would search for that new life, and I would find it. And I'd get a dog. And, you know, I live in the sunshine, and, you know, I've learned so much over this last 9 years, and lots of them great surprises, you know, really finding sound healing, doing lots of work around the voice. I mean, if I look back, I think, I don't know how that all happened really, because I didn't plan that, but I'm very happy that it happened. But it's almost like making like an overall plan, but then feeling into that we already have it, that it's all possible. And so when we go along the track, like I am at the moment, you know, I'm super busy trying to get my books in shops and trying to get them online and doing all those things that, you know, all those left brain things I really don't want to do, but I'm doing it. And then it's kind of riding those waves, you know, one person says yes, and then somebody else says no, and then somebody yes, and then no. And it's just like, that's okay, actually, because now I believe that I wouldn't want my book to be in a place if they didn't vibrate at the same sort of energy. And by that, you know, it's like they want it, they're enthusiastic, or they feel like, yes, that's for us. Because if it's not for them, it's not going to sell. It's out of you know, it's out of harmony. So yeah, so I've learned so much in just taking so long to get this book out. But I've done lots of little things in between, and I did some traveling.
Also, doesn't it teach, you know, talking about how long it's taken you when you had this plan, this idea of 6 months, and it's taken 3 years, but actually there's probably a lot within your own life and your journey that needed to take place before the book could be launched that you probably didn't even realize. You know, there were stepping stones even for you personally that you need to go through with your book to be able to get you to the point where you are ready to actually, now it's ready to be released and launched.
Yeah, and I had a lot of life lessons, last year. Really consolidate. I had lots of big experiences last year, and so yeah, it was like, no, come back to Bali and settle down to complete it. But what I would say is, any creative project, it always takes so much longer than you expect. It really does. It just takes, I'd say, 10 times longer than you think. Yeah. So I guess it's really just trusting the divine timing. You've got to take action, obviously. You're going to go and live abroad. You've got to take some action, like save up the money to go on a trip to see it, or research how you can live as a digital nomad so you can live abroad, or whatever it is. We have to do the research or do the training. But yeah, it's really, I think it's really connecting deeply inside of yourself. What is it you really want? Like, you really want to support and help other people. And that's always been my mission too, because I know what I went through, and I want to make sure that other people could be prepared for such spiritual awakenings, mental breakdowns. They know who their circle of friends are. They know the right people to ask for support. They've got tools to support them through panic attacks, and they've got somebody else's experience that have been through that. So that could give them some insights when they get into that position. So, yeah, and obviously that book took me about, 6 to 8 years to put out, because I was like, oh no, I don't want to be sharing. Oh no, I don't, because we get really worried about judgment. And but when you realize judgment is just about the person judging you and not actually about you and what you do, then you go, oh my goodness, I could have just done this all my life. Why did it take so long? But yeah, it does take a lot of time, or more time than you hope for, probably.
Yeah, I think because, and that's what we were saying, I think it's because of the lessons that need to be, the lessons we have to walk first. Because, yeah, we have these ideas and we have these dreams, but to actually fulfill them, we've also got to, we've got to build up the capacity for our nervous system to hold that frequency as well. And I think, we always come back into this very physical body that we live in, but actually, and we forget how we are energetic beings. We are all vibration and frequency and energy. And so how do, if we're always coming down to this very grounded, physical being, when we forget those things, it's hard to, then we have a plan and we have this goal and we've got this, expectation and all these things, but actually it never goes to plan. So I think that's why, like, if we let go of those expectations of, I want this done in 6 months, and be like, you know what, I'm just going to show up every day. I've got to learn the lessons. I've got to build the capacity in my nervous system so that my body can actually hold this frequency that I want to, now my next level of frequency that I want to raise my body up to. Our bodies take a lot longer than our energetic field, than our energetic bodies to get there. Like, a lot of us are already moving through different, multi-dimensions and different dimensions at the moment. And you can feel it energetically, but it's actually the body still needs to catch up. Our physical body is still catching up, and our nervous systems and things to hold that capacity.
Absolutely, for sure. And obviously the world is going through such transformation. Everything that's going, it's the micro macro, isn't it? Even though, we live wherever, you're in South Africa, I'm here, we still feel what's going on in the rest of the world, even if you don't watch the news. So it's really, so then if we can feel, then it's like we're feeling about, say, imagining the end result of what we're going to, and that we are fully embodied in whole, like you said, you're completely right. I wasn't ready to put out my first book because actually I wasn't ready to hold anything. And even when I did put it out, it was extremely challenging. Like people say, it's like giving birth. So obviously I haven't given birth. So, but it's like, it's a big, it's a lot, and it's a lot to carry. And so I feel like, that's been a initiation of putting out a book. And but still, I still feel, we never, and I think it's probably quite healthy really, we never feel like, oh, I feel confident, I feel super confident about that, and I can just go, you know. That's not really real, is it? I mean, real people, they go, well, yes, I've done it, and it's helping people. I'm getting it out as a wider audience so I can help as many people. But it's, I don't know, it's a different way of, it's just like, well, I did my best. I put all my love into it. I put all my ideas into it, and then we let it go. And we don't have to think about, oh, am I going to sell 1,000 copies? Am I going to sell tens of thousands, millions? You know, it's just like, right, people will find it as I continue, you know, it will expand to more shops or, you know, different countries or whatever. Actually, somebody might be putting it in Australia, so I'm excited about that.
Yeah, there you go.
It's just like step by step, allowing the universe to bring to us what it is that we're aligned to.
Can I ask you, do you do the visualizations of, like, can you see if you had to, you know, and this is something I think is quite a powerful practice. And I know a lot of people don't really believe to the extent it can work, but obviously going back to frequencies and, you know, and our vibration, like by you just saying, you putting it out there, you know, and then you're going to let it go. But do you put it out there with a visualization of, you can see the people that it will help and the attraction? Like, how does it make you feel? Does it light you up? Does it fill you with, you know, like excitement? You know, the people that do buy the book, you're having a positive impact on their life. Because I think
that's had a positive effect, because obviously it's only just come out. So when I heard that she loved it so much and it was really helping her, I was like, bingo. That's how I want someone to feel. And so, yes, obviously, the energy of how excited she was about it and how it's helping her because she's been having a difficult time, I was like, that's my person, you know. And yes, I mean, visualizing them being sold in shops. I was even thinking maybe I should do a photograph. I think I've done it before, actually. I went to a shop, you know, a bookshop, and I put it in there and, you know, on the shelf and took a picture. It's like, it's in bookshops everywhere.
Amazing.
Yeah. But I think it's like really feeling the feelings that anything is possible and what you're going for. You know, it's like feel it, imagine it, enjoy it, write it down, create a vision board, you know, just write about it, why it's important to you, you know, because if we know our why, that really helps.
Yeah.
Because obviously that's our reason to be, right? And then, yeah, I guess it is a bit of hopium that something happens in between and ping, you know, bingo. But yeah, well, I'm learning as well. I'm learning sort of businessy sort of stuff that you need to do, like all of that stuff, funnels and sharing, like we are, you know, we're sharing our truth, we're sharing what we feel would be supportive to others, to sort of shine a light on you know, directions to go and just feeling connected. Then hopefully in turn that will create a synergy of energy, and yeah, and we support each other.
And it's also, I guess it's like a ripple effect, you know, you have a positive impact on somebody and then you get to teach somebody else. That person goes and teaches, you know, their journey, and we all then, you know, slowly the ripple effect of how we shift the whole frequency as a collective then starts taking place. And it's, you know, it's really powerful. I mean, I've sat in, when I went to the Medicine Festival in the UK 2 years ago, and we all sat as a collective and we did this whole big raising the frequency, and you could feel it, like the energy. And I was just like, you know, and you hear about the monks all meditating together, and it's, you know, energy is, there's nothing that can break it. So when you do that as a collective and you all having the same intention, it's a huge shift. It's a massive, massive, massive shift on the collective. And I think it's just constantly bringing ourselves, you know, yes, we are going to be challenged. Yes, life, we're going to have fear. Yes, we're going to have stress at times. Yes, things aren't always going to go smoothly. But it's just also allowing ourselves to feel that, but also then also making sure we have the power within ourselves to come back to our truth and to come back to what am I allowing this to affect me for, and for how long? And then, okay, what am I really here to do? And then shift that frequency, shift that vibration. and pick yourself up so that you can get back to raising, because as soon as you change your frequency, everything starts changing.
Yeah.
Everything in an instant starts changing. But if you keep your frequency, you know, and I work with a lot of people who are sick and, you know, have a lot of illnesses and diseases. And most of them, you know, I've realized when you're sick and you have illnesses and diseases, a lot of them, 99% of them, all are carrying so much shame, grief, so much anger, bitterness, you know, all of these low vibrational emotions, which is why they're so sick, because they can't let go. They haven't healed. They're holding resentment, you know. And I'm like, as soon as you start working on shifting these frequencies and like starting to be a bit more grateful and forgiveness and love and gratitude and a few other, you know, even just having the courage to change your life, that frequency alone takes you onto another level. And then so many of them start getting better because they like, yeah, okay, they energetically have to change their frequency. Because it's one thing doing things, you know, you're feeling things physically, but we've got an energetic body, we have an emotional body that needs as much attention all the time.
Yeah, and it's listening to the body too. Because, you know, when you're doing things because you're passionate about it, and that's great, and you're busy doing it all, but you also have to listen to your body. And you have to listen and say, great now, I need to go and walk in nature. I just need to sit and have a cup of tea and look at the trees. It's like really, it's because, you know, because we all get overwhelmed by life, experiences. So it's like being aware of that overwhelm so it doesn't escalate into diseases.
Exactly.
And forgiveness, you know, forgiveness is key. You know, writing letters, as we were saying before, writing letters of forgiveness to people that we feel maybe in the past, you know, that have affected us and when they don't want to speak to us. So, but we can write them a letter. We can write letters.
Talking about forgiveness and what you're saying about writing letters is a very powerful practice, because it's not just forgiving them that they might have hurt you or turned their back on you because of whatever was going on, or they hurt you in a relationship or whatever it may be, but it's forgiving yourself as well, because not everyone's perfect. So you've also hurt other people. You've also done wrongdoings. And actually, instead of carrying that burden and shame and guilt, it's actually just setting yourself free, but forgiving yourself. So write it down, beautiful way, and then burn it. But also write it, you know, and I always say to people, write it, release the anger, release the shame, the guilt, be totally truthful and honest, and write it however it comes out. But then before you end it, write, you know, I'm forgiving you, and then find the compassion inside of it and the love. Even when it seems so hard, that I let you go with love and compassion. I forgive you with love and compassion for myself, so I can set myself free from you. So I can find peace in the situation and I can move on. And then that's where you ended, because then you've shifted your frequency again from, you know, the shame and guilt and releasing and getting all the anger and whatever else you need to release, but then shifting it to a place of peace, you know, and forgiveness and compassion and kindness, because then you already have changed your own frequency.
Exactly. And also, to look at the gift in that too, because sometimes we're friends with people because we've been friends with them a long time. It doesn't mean they're actually good for us. It doesn't mean they're supportive and encouraging. It doesn't mean that they're there for us. So whoever we've come into contact with, so whatever friends and relationships and family we've had, it's like also they came in for a period of time. Doesn't mean they have to be forever. I know we get very attached as humans to everyone. We want everyone to be in harmony with us. We want people to love us. We want to love them, and we want to, you know, have their availability, and, you know, but it's just like everyone's busy with their lives, and, you know, you're living in a different country, and you know, it's just, you know, we can just send them love, and we don't necessarily have to speak to them or talk to them or anything, but it doesn't mean that anything's wrong in between time. It's just that we're all in different timelines.
Yeah, and we're all evolving at different moments, you know, we're all evolving, we're all, you know, growing and expanding at totally different times. And people that you did align with, you know, you're definitely not going to necessarily, unless they're evolving at the same speed, you're not going to be aligned with them anymore. And it's okay. It's life. It's okay to let people go. And it doesn't have to be a fight or something that's said. It can just be a natural, like, letting go process of. And because I think if we also allow ourselves to let go and create that extra bit of space inside of ourselves, we also then get to call in the next level the people that are going to help support us and empower us and watch us grow into the next part of our lives. And I think that's really important. But if you don't create the space,
Exactly.
there's no space. There's no space.
You have to create the space.
No.
To create space for more people to come in, or actually sometimes we need space for less people, because then we can really maybe see ourselves and we can really follow what we need to be doing and living a quiet life when there's so much chaos and confusion around us. So it's actually spending more time alone and experiencing life differently, and then making space for the right people to come into our lives, instead of trying to hold on to people that, because friends, like when I went back to the UK last year and I saw some friends, some university friends and friends I used to work, and it's like the right people, they're always there for you. I met up with them, it's like we've never been apart. So, the people that are meant to pop back into your life will be, it's like they're always there anyway. So yeah, it's just really going on our own path and connecting, letting go and expressing and just going with that flow and taking all that stress off ourselves, that unnecessary stress that we're kind of addicted to in Western society. Everything has to be done quickly, everything has to be done fast, blah, blah, blah. Every minute of the day has to be booked with something,
And constantly people pleasing, even when it doesn't align and it doesn't feel nice. The amount of people I see all day in and day out, just people pleasing, doing things that you can see they don't want to do, but they do it because they don't want to upset somebody, or they don't want to offend somebody. And I'm like, do you know what? It's not your issue. You show up, but with the right intention and from a place from your truth and your heart. As long as you're not being malicious and manipulating and hurting people, well, that's fine. But, if you show up with the right intention and you are just living your life from your truth, it doesn't matter what other people think. It doesn't matter if you upset someone. It doesn't matter if someone gets offended. Sometimes people get offended, but you know what? They'll go back and they'll go away and process. And then it gives them an opportunity to see it for what it is and see it from a different perspective and see, if, yes, they can probably then grow from that place. And sometimes it can actually be a very positive, a very positive interaction with somebody by being true.
Yeah, because we're always learning about ourselves. I always think, well, as long as we're on Earth, we're always learning. We're always processing new information, having new experiences, and learning. So, yeah.
Absolutely.
So how have you done today? That's. Do you want to see some more, or do you feel it's come to a natural end, or how are you feeling?
I don't know. I think it's been really nice talking about our dreams, and I guess going back to dreams, like the only thing I'm going to say is dream bigger than you've ever dreamed.
Yes.
Really practice what it means to. We have these dreams, we have these goals, we have these visions, but are they really the biggest you can actually make them? Because if they're not, they need to be. Because then you also bring yourself into that frequency of really that we are one. There's oneness. This consciousness that we are all is infinite. There's infinite possibilities. The only thing that stands in our way is ourselves. Is our fear, is our mind, is our egos, is all of these things that stand in our way. But if you can get past that human experience of the mind and all that, and you go into the heart space, and you can really dream, like if your dreams are small, make them bigger.
I love that. Exactly. Yeah. Well, I think that's a beautiful spot to end on. Making our dreams bigger.
Beautiful. And thank you guys for joining us today. Christopher, Nick, Callie, thank you.
Thank you. And
see you next beautiful day.
Yes. Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you, my darling.
See you next time. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye.